Kanye. I've been noticing a lot of information being spread in regards to Kanye due to his recent outbursts at a concert that he had. And he was going off in this concert, instead of, performing for the audience and his fans. Hold on a second. Instead of performing for his audience and his fans, he went on his usual rantings. He was talking about Beyonce and Jay-Z, how he felt betrayed by them. And he just was going off about the whole industry. He also mentioned about Trump. I'm on my Trump whatever, and maybe a supporter of Trump. So as soon as he was saying that, people basically started booing him, and then eventually the audience, they left, but they didn't leave until he actually walked off stage. So they felt like they paid money for his concert and they didn't get their money's worth. After that whole concert, suddenly Kanye was put into a mental facility or to be evaluated and so forth, which is usually the pattern after they go on certain rants where they are revealing a little bit too much that information. Then they will be silenced or stopped. And Kanye had other concerts that he was scheduled to do, so they didn't want him to continue to perform at these different venues and continue on his little rants. So they basically made it out that he was mentally unstable, and they took him away. And so we don't know what exactly occurred with him. It is a pattern with these artists. Whenever they go off on a rant or they start revealing things and saying certain things against the industry and the people that they work for, you notice that they get institutionalized. It happened to a few other artists like Britney Spears. It also happened to Joan Rivers when she blurted out some information about President Obama and Michelle Obama, and she ended up dying. And then there was Michael Jackson. Before he died, he revealed some things about Sony and called the owner of Sony or someone, he called him the devil. And he was, going on his own rant in front of a small audience. And you can find this information on YouTube. There's a video of Michael Jackson basically going off about the whole industry. And then there was a situation with Whitney Houston where she revealed some information privately with Brandy Norwood on camera, and then Whitney Houston showed up out of nowhere and she handed a secret note to Brandy that she had her daughter with her, Bobby Christina. And she just looked really, at that time when she handed the note to Brandy, she looked very disheveled, just out of it. And of course, she ended up dead. So it's interesting, we can call it conspiracy theory, this all coincidences, but of course, in the industry, there's really some demonic forces, there's evil activities going on, and there's some really bad things that are occurring with these celebrities. Now back to, the different perspective about what occurred with Kanye. Now, Kanye is a controversial type of person. He's the type of person that don't keep things to himself or keep quiet on things. If he feels a certain way, he will, open up and just speak his mind. And usually with these types of celebrities that are kind of open, they're a little bit harder to really control, because you never know when they're going to start saying certain things. So even though these certain celebrities are involved in these types of affiliations, there are some of them that they can't sleep at night. They can't look themselves in the mirror. They have these nice houses that you see on Rich and Famous, and they don't live in these houses because they're always on the road, they're always working, they're always being watched and monitored, whatever they do. So, and there are times when it's just too much for them and they just want out of it. But there really isn't any escape for them, so they're pretty much, doomed in that lifestyle. I will give my perspective a little bit based on some information I received from an individual who I've been speaking to for a couple of months now, and she's a very interesting person, and she intrigued me because I learned more about her life, and her life is very, very interesting. Now, I'm not going to reveal who she is. I'm not going to give her name or anything like that. I'm just going to share some information that she had shared with me, her personal perspective on the whole Kanye situation. Now, she basically was brought up in a CIA environment. I believe she says she has a real father that she never knew, and she has a CIA father that she was brought up under. And so therefore she, have seen things, have heard things, and have witnessed some things. She's told me that there was a time in her life where she was out of nowhere was hearing voices in her head, and the voices were almost like a demonic voice that was talking to her and telling her some bad things and saying really evil things. I can't repeat the things that she told me it said, but it was pretty graphic things where it was threatening her life and saying some really awful things to her. And she said it was clear, it was a clear voice, like someone was in the room talking to me. And she basically was a little freaked out about it, but she at the same time didn't give into it because she didn't believe in the devil or God at the time. So she felt like it was just a man. Somehow she wasn't sure how he was able to do what he was doing, but she was just kind of fighting against this voice that was coming out of nowhere. And she was like, I wasn't dreaming, I was wide awake, and it was like talking and saying these terrible things to me. And as she got older, she said that it was revealed to her what it was. She was being experimented on. It was some type of technological device that was being used on her, and it was some sort of test that was being performed on her. And when she learned this, she was like, very intrigued by it. And as she grew up under her CIA family and so forth, she became a test subject. Like, she willingly submit herself to do specific tests for the CIA on different technologies that come out. She has a earpiece and a mouthpiece technology that's implanted in her and in her ear, near her ear and near her vocals, her throat, so that they can communicate with her and so forth. And I was like, really? And she was like, yes. And I asked her, so they are constantly talking to you through this earpiece? And she says, not all the time, but just once in a while they can talk to her. And it's a new technology device that they have that's not out to the public yet, but it's an implantation device that and I believe her because again, I believe that the technology that we have out in the public is old technology, and there are more advanced technology that only people like the CIA, who, if you're really deep into the CIA and affiliated with that, then about these technologies. So anyway, she was telling me about that, and she also was telling me about the voice technology that they have called the Voice of God, and it's also called the V2K, that the CIA have a hand on, that they have this device, and they can use this device to basically tap into people's minds and control them. And they could talk to people and pretend that they're God, talk to people and pretend that they're the devil, and freak people out and make people do things and make people go insane. So she believes this is the case with Kanye because it's very similar to what she has experienced and what she's witnessed. Now, she referred to herself as a MK Ultra individual, and MK Ultra, you can research that. It's just people who are basically under mind control, that are under mind control. And she says Britney Spears is an MK Ultra, but she tried to fight against it, and that's why Britney Spears lost her mind at that time when she shaved her head and was going crazy and doing all these crazy things. She, this girl was telling me that basically Britney Spears was trying to break from it, but you can't break from it. You're basically, their subject and they own you. So she was trying to, but it wasn't successful. They basically put her back into to whatever facility and try to make it more stronger on her, work stronger on her, so it won't happen again that she tried to break out of it and, you know, go wild and crazy. So she was, you know, basically telling me that this technology does exist and they use it on celebrities, and she believes Kanye is a victim of this this voice of God, and she calls it a brick, when you get hit with a brick. And when you get hit with the brick, that means that they can say certain things in your head. They can threaten you. They can make voices appear real. They can tell you you're a god, that you're Jesus. And based on the way Kanye presents himself a lot, she basically believed that device is being worked on Kanye.